Hello, and welcome to this week's Midweek Connection. My name is Todd Jordan. I serve as senior pastor here at Strawbridge United Methodist Church. I'm delighted that you've joined us. This past Sunday, we had a guest preacher, the Reverend B.T. Williamson, and in the middle of his sermon, he referenced the cleansing of Naaman. Now, if you're not familiar with the story, it's one of my favorite stories in the entire Old Testament. It's found in 2 Kings chapter 5, and you'll see a link to that scripture on this email. But it's a story about a commander of the army of Aram, which were enemies of the Israelites at the time. In fact, Naaman, this commander, had been leading raids into the Israelites, whooping on them. However, it turns out he has leprosy, and he finds out that there is this prophet in Israel who happens to be Elisha, who he hears can possibly cure him. So you've got to read this story for yourself. It's great. 2 Kings chapter 5 verses 1 through 19. But basically, Naaman goes to visit Elisha. Elisha doesn't even come out to see him. He sends a servant out to him. And Naaman's a little offended by this. And then the servant says, "Yeah, Elisha knows you've got leprosy. Just go wash yourself in the Jordan 7 times, you'll be fine." And Naaman gets offended. He's like, "Are you kidding me? I came all this way to find out that there are a lot better rivers than Jordan. I didn't need to come all this way for that." So he starts to go home, but his servants tell him, "Look, you've come all this way. If he had told you to do something hard, you would have done that. So go ahead and do it and see what happens." So Naaman relents and he goes to the Jordan. He washes 7 times, and sure enough, he's made clean. He is ecstatic. He's so excited. So he goes back to Elisha to thank him and offer to give him something. And so I'm going to read these verses now, 15, 16, and 17. And um, Naaman has a very interesting request in this. So Naaman returns to Elisha, he and his company, and he came and stood before him and said, "Now I know that there is no God in all the earth except in Israel. Please accept a present from your servant." And Elisha says, "As the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will accept nothing." He doesn't want payment for this. So Naaman urges him to accept, and Elisha continues to refuse. Then Naaman says this. He says, If not, please let 2 mule loads of earth be given to me, and I will no longer offer burnt offering or sacrifice to any god except the Lord." So Naaman is so grateful to the God of Israel for healing him. He's going to forget any other gods, and this was he comes from a pagan culture, but he's going to forget that there are any other gods and worship the God of Israel alone. So he's converted. But then he says he wants 2 mule loads of dirt to take with him. Now, why do you suppose that is? Well, it turns out that back then you associated a particular god with the land of the culture that worshiped that god, right? So in Naaman's mind, the way to stay close to this god is to take part of the earth back with him so he'll have a tangible reminder, a tangible sign of God's presence with him and some way that he can show his gratitude toward this God. I wonder, um, how often do you wake up every day grateful for what God has done for you? And do you have those tangible reminders, maybe things, maybe people in your life to remind you how good God is, that there is one God that we worship? And that it's not enough to be thankful for the gift, but we have to take time to thank the giver. Take some time this week, take some time today to reflect on all God has done for you and to not only be grateful for what God has done, but to give thanks to God, the one who has given you those great things. You'll have a good day on account of it, I guarantee it. I'll see you Sunday. God bless you.